everyone, my name is Mechele Monet and I am the owner of the Stamp Doctor, an outpatient clinic for Stampaholics, and I created the company in 1998. It's taken on a lot of forms. Some of you may have seen me at some shows. I've not actually done a Stamp and Scrapbook Expo show before. They were always a little too full. They're a very popular show. So I was very delighted to be invited to be a vendor on this virtual show. So much easier for me to not have to pack up the booth and travel. And I get to come to all of you no matter where you are, so I don't have to miss out on any states. So this was the first card making die that I made. And you can see here where it says Spellbinders. This was a partnership I had with Spellbinders, and this is the flip-flop card die. So I like to make some very interesting and different cards. I did not bring out a sample of that to show you, but that was my very first die way back in the day. And so I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm going to show you 3 different projects that I created with the same papers, which I sell, the tropical, and some of my dies. But I want to share with you a really interesting concept about the dies. There's so much I could talk about, but such a small amount of time. So I'm sure I'll be back for more videos. Plus I have a great YouTube channel started with some basics on it and some little tips. But anyway, so the Sidestep Die was one of the first ones that I created, the fancy folds. And back in the day, all you could do to manufacture your dies was to place the dies 1/4 of an inch apart. That was as close as the manufacturer enabled us to do back then. Okay, and so these are the layers. Mine are stuck to the package in here for my Sidestep. But these are the Sidestep layers. And originally I didn't even create layers because most people were so excited just to be able to have a die that could cut the base and score all the parts that we were like, oh, we'll measure and do the layers ourselves. But then dies just exploded, and now we can make a die for just about everything. So now we have the Sidestep layers. Now when I sell these in a combo, I give you a 20% discount off of the 2 when you buy them together. Okay, and a lot of people buy the card die because that's what they can afford, and they don't buy the layers. Then they eventually come back and get the layers. I want to show you some tips on how you can expand these layers, both in maybe scrapbooking and in card making, and then you can have more of a value for your product. I always try to add extra value for the product. So I'm going to jump right in. All right, we'll be assembling one of these little 6x6 pages, or this could be a title page, in a little bit. But to start with, I'm going to show you a couple of tips, like a little few tricks to show you. So this is the Sidestep, and can you see the texture? It's always hard with white to see the texture. So I emboss this with an embossing folder, and this is a Tropical Leaves embossing folder from Doris. It's still available, and my system says I have 2 in stock. I'm going to make sure I physically check that, but I am going to order more so it looks like this, which is still kind of hard to see. So I've embossed the entire card, and one reason I feel that's important is card making isn't always, we don't always get a chance to sit and create lots of different cards. You know, we have jobs and all of that, so sometimes we want to make a card really quickly, but how do you do it, and how do you do it with all those layers and all that thought? So I'm just running my big shot here while I'm talking, and I'm just going to show you. This is actually a different folder. It's a dog paws, and this is a center step card die, which I make, and I make a ton of layers for. But what I've done is I've gone ahead and folded the card base after I cut it, and fold it all up, and it fits right into the embossing folder like so. And then you run it through, emboss it. You could ink this however you would like to, and it's going to give you some texture. So now I have a little bit more interest than a plain base card, and it gives me the opportunity to be able to just throw a couple of layers on it, a little saying, and I'm good to go. So that's just a quick little tutorial on embossing folders. You can emboss your base card. Okay, so really quickly, these layers, they're actually 1/4 of an inch apart. So we would have the print layer and the black layer, the print layer and the black layer. Okay, that's what you would get with the dies. Then you would just get this print layer because there isn't actually one that fits for that layer. So I want to just show you really quickly, and I'm going to use a part out of here To do it, I'm going to show you the Perfect Layers rulers. And these are something I think is probably the greatest scrapping crafting invention of all time, period, hands down. The company Perfect Paper Crafting actually sold to We Are Memory Keepers. Thankfully, somebody had a lot of money, thank you, We Are, and they were able to buy the patents and everything and make these perfect layers rulers. Now there's a video on my website. I'm not going to get too detailed on everything because I'm looking at my clock and I'm already down almost 10 minutes here, and I'm a talker. So what you're going to do is die cut your first piece, and then you're going to place it onto your scrap of cardstock. I always save all my strips and everything that I cut, or you know, your next layer. And I'm going to do a 1/16 edge, so I left a little bit of extra room here on the edge. So I'm going to find my ruler that has the 1/16 on it, which is here. And this is what's called a patented catch lip system. But anyway, so we're going to do our short side here. And again, there's a video on this, but I'm not going to get too in depth on it, but I'm just going to do it quickly. So you slide this back, it catches on the top layer, you use the knife. I have a cool tutorial on how to make your own glass mat for $1 from the Dollar Tree. If it didn't move, cut it again. Okay, and you just are rotating it all the way around. Make sure and do your shortest sides first so you have something to hold on to, but we can come back to that. It's just, I wanted to let you know how you can expand your layers. So whatever your layers are in your set, you don't have to be stuck with them when you have the Perfect Layers rulers, which I sell on my website, because this gives me the opportunity to make it a little better by expanding the layers. And mine's a little bit crooked because I'm hurrying, but the cool thing is, let me just go back. Plus, I'm trying to keep my head out of the camera. We do have the limitations here of our work areas and our systems. Okay, so we'll just, now see, I can't really get to the other side, so we're gonna have to accept that the way it is. All right, moving onward. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set that back over there. Okay, so this tall layer, my friend Lynn in Phoenix, she did, thank you Lynn, show me a sketch of a scrapbook page that had some flags and it had some rectangles. And I did use that to get started, and thank you very much, Lynn, because I never usually look at sketches. But see, this layer here is the same as the layers here, and then these little layers come out of the dies here. So this is a standard A2 card, but it's not a Sidestep card, but it uses the Sidestep layers. And this is a tropical page you can buy. There's 10 on a sheet, and you can buy that and have it printed and sent to you along with the tropical papers. But it's showing that you can use these layers out of the Sidestep, and then that's going to give you an extra card to be able to make. So these layers, the flags, things like that. Okay. All right, so let's move on to how I did the scrapbook page, and I'll show you. Let's see if I can just keep that up. Nope, there, I know there's a graphic in the corner. Let's keep it right there for a second while I get out all my parts. Now, I am not a scrapbooker per se. I am definitely more of a card maker, all right? And I'm not a neat card maker here at all, as my mother will attest. Okay, so a couple of tricks I want to tell you. So this pink glittery stuff here, this is ribbon, and it's really thin and it's really slick and polyestery on the back of it. Okay, so what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to take like your white liner tape roll, and if you only have the thin tape, you want to do two runs of it, and then you're going to stick your ribbon down to the cardstock, and then I use a mini brayer to stick and hold things down. So you're going to stick it down, and then you're going to be able to die cut different pieces out of it, the flags, whatnot. So those all come out of it. Now when you do your blessings, when you do your little word dies, you actually want to remember to put some tape on the back, some double stick tape with the white liner on it, and leave the liner on it, and then die cut it so that you can then peel off the tape and then you can stick it down. But if you forget, they have a fabulous invention. I just got a case of them in stock. They are thermal web sticky dots, and they are fantastic. These were around years ago and I had actually forgotten all about them. But what you're going to do is you're going to peel up. Now I cut mine down. They come in 8.5 by 11 pages, and I did cut mine down into quarters like a card, and I will stick all my sheets into a bag. So these are little dots of stickiness. Okay, and all you have to do is take your little die cut, and I kind of go like this so I don't stick them on me and waste them. Okay, so press that down and then peel that back up. Away we go. All right, ooh, very sticky. You can see that it does not want to come off of there, so be gentle. All right, and then you can go back and like piece this part if you needed to use up the rest of your sticky dots. All right, then we're going to put this down on the shadow, and I'm going to have to put this in front of my face, guys. I can't see it behind the camera and everything, so we're going to line it up. So I kind of line it up, move it around a little bit, stick it down, and then I brayer it. This is my little steamroller tool, which I do sell on my website. I'm not a hard seller, folks, so you're not going to get a lot of pressure from me to buy. All right, so that's how you would do that little guy. All right, so on here we're gonna stitch this. So really quickly, and I'm going to show you a prize that somebody is going to win. You're going to follow the directions for how to enter the giveaways for Stamp and Scrapbook Expo, and I am sponsoring this $100 prize package. It is 4 sets of circle dies. There are 20 and 22 dies in each set. They start at 5.5 and go down to like a 1/2 inch on that one, and I think it's even like a 1/4 inch on that one. There are 2 that cut, and there are 2 that only stitch. And a lot of people think I'm insane because why did I make dies that only stitch? Why? Who wants to do extra steps? Okay, and these do come in circles and squares, and they both start at the 5.5 range. The squares aren't the giveaway, the circles are. Okay, so these are the 2 stitch dies that I pulled out of one of the sets, and I've taped them together with stencil tape. Okay, and this is an example. If you can see, which you probably cannot, the stitch lines in there. Lighting is always difficult to make it come out and show. There we go. I know that looks probably awful for a video, but that's my cell phone light. So that showed you the double stitch line on the black. So the reason that I like stitches all by themselves is I can, in this instance, make this a double stitch line, okay? But the stitches don't come in that set, okay? So I can put stitches anywhere I want, and I can put any number of stitches anywhere I want, and I'm going to explain to you in just a second about the extra dies. So I am centering that, and my stitch is kind of catching on my black layer, and I will go ahead and run this through the Big Shot really quickly. Alrighty. So you do want to make sure you detack that stencil tape so it doesn't tear. But now you may or may not be able to see it. I now have a double stitch line. One line goes right along the edge of the pattern, and then one line is on the black, and that's how I did that. So just really quick, everything is really quick, right? So these 2 sets, what they are is they counter each other. So you can see they're much closer than the original, like side step layers and center step layers, etc. We've pushed the manufacturer into exploring optional techniques to make them closer. So my dies are 1/8 of an inch, what I call a step apart. So in this set for the dies, you're going to have them 1/8 of an inch apart. And then on this set, they're also 1/8 of an inch apart. But this one starts at 5.5. This one starts at 5 3/8. So when I cut the largest here and I lay it on the largest here, I get a 1/16 edge instead of the 1/8 steps that you would have here. So if you use any dies out of one set, they will step an 1/8 inch apart. If you crisscross back and forth between the two sets, you're going to end up with a 1/16 border, which is that little teeny tiny border that I did with the perfect layers, but it would be a little hard to try to do a circle with the perfect layers. And then the stitch dies are exactly the same. They're 1/8 of an inch in the set, 1/16 if you crisscross the sets. Okay. All right. And I am open to more videos or different videos explaining just, you know, whatever you would like to ask me. Now, I'm not going to stick all of these down because I do have other things that I want to show you or talk to you about. And I only have 10 minutes, 11, 12 minutes left. Okay. So this is a 6x6. And one of the things that's really awesome, let's see, my leaves need to be going upwards. So it looks like every single one almost was upside down. Oh, okay. So did you ever do, it took me a minute to see what I was doing. Do you ever do something and you go, well, if I had that to do over again, I would do it differently. I had this to do over again, so I did it differently. On my original page, I did up, down, or down, up, down. And now that was poor planning because look, my flower, my main flower is kind of hidden behind here. So when I looked at that and I was rekitting for this, I went, you know what? It would be smarter if this one ended up higher. Okay. So I did, you know, this one, this one, this one. The beauty of using dies instead of using, like cutting your paper and planning it is I can take the die, and usually what I'll do is I'll make sure my tape doesn't exceed the middle portion of my die. So I would just like move my tape here. Okay. And by the way, putting these down on a magnet sheet with the cut line down and then taping them, that really helps. Or even just put the tape down on the biggest one and then start laying your smaller ones inside it to center them. But the magnet helps hold it in place. Anyway, this enables me to frame the part of my paper that I want to use for whatever particular project. And then what I would do is I would put my glass mat under here and I would pencil line around the area where I want my cuts to be. And then I would take that off and I would trim out that paper so that I can run just that little piece through. My tape doesn't stick to anything else and ruin the rest of the paper. I hope that makes sense. You'll see that in some of my other videos. But instead of, you know, having to go, maybe here, maybe there. Oh, I got that off. Now I wasted that paper. With the dies, you can really focus. Okay. And that works equally as well for photographs. Again, by putting your tape to the outside of the die, you're going to be able to crop that area of the photograph that you want without having, you know, the stuff ruin it. So this is from the ephemera pack with the tropical paper. Okay, and then these are the little flags. Now this isn't the length of the die, but when I made my strip, I had a leftover strip of cardstock. That determined the size that I did of this. So when I cut it, since these are tucked up behind, I didn't need them full length. So I went ahead and kind of abbreviated them. I just moved them up and only cut what I needed to get the most out of my pieces. And yeah, this little dude is short. None of them are the same size. But he's not going to show much. Now, one of the things I think I would have done also on planning, I think I would have moved the flags over more on the right side. I did it center. And by the way, if you do use the glitter tape, you're going to need wet glue to glue them down. So I put a piece of temporary tape. Let me just flip this and I'll show you. So I kind of positioned, however I did this. I kind of positioned them the way that I wanted on a piece of temporary tape. And then I laid the square on top of it with the blobs of glue. And I weighted it down actually with my little Big Shot machine and left it setting so that it would grab. All right, so wet glue on glitter because the tapes do not work. Okay. All right, so real quick also, just share a little tip for you on spacing. So these are 1/4 inch strips. And I did watch the club scrap video. It's my first club scrap video from one of the previous events with Scrapbook Expo, and I absolutely loved it. And I love her centering ruler. But if you don't have one to do equal distance, if you have a good trimmer, you can cut scraps of paper into strips, and then you would put temporary dot adhesive. This one is a Scrapbooks adhesive that I got in a prize package. Okay, so I would take this, and I did cut this at 6 inches. And I would do this with cards also. So, and again, you know, I'm working down here in front of you, and my eyes are right in between being able to see. But now I have a temporary strip. I would run my temporary strip here and my temporary strip here. Okay, that's going to give me my 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then I would be able to take and push these up into that area. Okay, and then I did mark the center here. And I would probably, after I got these on, I would probably just go ahead and eyeball my spacing. Just make sure, you know, I had equal space. Definitely recommend a centering ruler. I think they are brilliant. But this is a quick cheat, and I've done this on cards. And then you just can take this strip off. And of course those pieces would be on there, and then you can just rub away those little temporary dots so that you can get rid of them. And of course the temporary dots, I'm sure pretty much every scrapbooker knows by this time, that they make it really easy to put a few little pieces on the back of the paper and then hold them in place to see if you like your layout. Okay, so that would be the layout. But I really enjoyed challenging myself to use all of these layers out of the Sidestep. And to make different little cards. I guess I'm off camera up there. I know there's a bar at the bottom of me here, and I don't want to have everything disappearing there. So, okay, move that aside. So real quickly, let's just go over who I am again and how you find me online. So I am the Stamp Doctor. My name is Mechele Monet, and you can find my website at thestampdoctor.com. You can find me on Facebook at the Stamp Doctor, YouTube at the Stamp Doctor. Here is my telephone number. That is a cell phone number. So you may text me if you have questions, if you need help finding a product. You can messenger me from Facebook. It's actually easier if you text me, because Messenger on Facebook, business pages, it's not working a whole lot. It doesn't always notify me. But don't worry about waking me up. I turn it off in the middle of the night. All right, so again, you're going to want to go to Scrapbook Expo's prize page. I'm sure they will be posting links here. And you want to enter to win this set of circle dies and stitch circle dies, sponsored by the Stamp Doctor. Okay, then I want to tell you about this. This is my coupon code. And it is good until the end of July, so that you don't have to rush. I know everyone has different paydays, and there's so much to see, and just one little quick shopping trip to one of the vendors can put you right over your budget. So I want to leave my coupon code open. The only thing it is not good on is raffle tickets, and if the item is already on sale. Okay, so the code is simple. It's SSBE. This will actually be my code for every event that I do with Stamp and Scrapbook Expo. And this code is going to save you 20%. So I'm just going to turn it off when it's not valid for an event. And hopefully we'll have so many events and I'll be invited back again that we'll never turn it off. So again, good until July 31st, thestampdoctor.com. Okay. And then there's one more thing that I'm doing that I want to show you, and this is a little close to the camera, so I'm going to just sit it off over here. So this is a digital download on my website, and technically we're going to say it is a $5 digital download. By the way, if you print these with a laser, or it is a PDF, so if you take it into Office Depot or Staples or whoever is still a copy machine place and laser print it, you can foil all of these little sayings. And I think any of these would be fantastic layered with the tropical paper with this. So this is a $5 digital download, but what it comes with is a raffle ticket. And these items from my January release are part of what you can win. And you would get a pack of stencil tape, and you would get a pack of cardstock, and I think this might actually be Recollections, but I had it cut down to the 5.5, okay? And then the grand prize part of this is that you will also win a little mini die cutting machine. And all of these dies in this grouping, they all fit in this machine. So you'll find the ticket link at thestampdoctor.com, and as soon as you purchase a ticket, you're going to get this digital download. Let me know if you have any issues, if you've never downloaded before. There's all kinds of help I can give you on that. Alrighty, and those are just a ton of fun. I have several different digital sayings because I think there's so many different words we can use that we might could use a lot of those for cards. So, all right. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was something interesting for you if you are a scrapbooker, because I know a lot of scrapbookers are starting to get into card making. But if you're not, you know, that's fine. And these are all scrapbooker cards. There's no stamping. So, alrighty. It looks like I'm at 26 minutes. Thank you so much, Sean, for inviting me again, and visit me at the Stamp Doctor. I hope you all have a blessed weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.